So please, a big warm welcome for Carolyn Beck.
Someday I'm going to run, skip and dance the way I did when I was a child. This was the hopeful dream of my friend Anne. She was full of life with a heart as big as a giraffe's and the dirtiest laugh you have ever heard. I met Anne early in 1993 when we were part of a singing group. Our friendship grew as I offered and she accepted lifts to and from our practice room. It was our shared love of music and the shared purpose it brings that fueled a deep and abiding friendship. Being with Anne was to be with someone who never allowed limitations to hold her back. If she could find a workaround, she would, all to allow the release of her inner tomboy. She delighted in pursuing adventures and daredevil doings. Looking back now, her dogged determination and how she exemplified kindness itself are my cherished memories of her. So this brings me to tell you the story of one of her greatest gestures of kindness to me. During the summer of 1997, I had recently lost my mother and was feeling quite vulnerable. It was clear that Anne really understood this. Anne proposed her plan for a great adventure, which she was eager to invite me to join her in. This would be the holiday of a lifetime, and it certainly turned out to be just that. She announced it had always been her dream to go to Disney World, Florida, but she had, up to now, been curtailed by the lack of a suitable travelling companion. And she had decided that I fitted the description suitable travelling companion. Anne explained that now she knew she wanted to go on this special trip and no expense would be spared. She was ready to push full steam ahead and apply for the necessary funds from the trust set up by her uncle, which she and other affected members of the family were beneficiaries of. So this fund was to meet any material needs or wishes of the nieces or nephews afflicted by this hereditary condition, spinal muscular atrophy or muscular dystrophy. With years of experience of having to check every conceivable detail of a trip, Anne set about planning the trip with laser-focused precision. Her plan was simple. We were going to have the best experience with trips to as many theme parks we wanted to go to in Orlando, and we would stay in the lap of luxury at the Hilton Hotel on International Drive. All I had to do was take care of getting her there and driving the hire car without crashing it. Everything else was her gift to me. The list of adjustments and accommodations that Anne put herself through just to show up on this trip was astonishing. Like restricting her fluid intake pre-flight so that she would manage the 8-hour flight on one bladder, or using her favourite satin sheet to help her manoeuvre around her bed at night, or coping with the occasional nips to her skin as her slidey board was tucked under her knee to enable her to shuffle herself between her chair and the car seat, or the return manoeuvre from the car seat to the wheelchair. This was often accompanied by, "Just wait a wee minute till I shift this fat arse of mine." During our trip, we discovered the delights of cinnamon French toast at an all-you-can-eat, all-day buffet, not far from our hotel. We made the journeys to and from the theme parks, the hotel, and shopping malls without a care in the world. On one such trip, we had parked up in a small retail park off International Drive, as Anne was eager to sample as many different shops as possible, and this time she wanted to look at shoes. We were moving up the ramp towards the shop's entrance and noticed a group of shoppers about to leave. We paused to allow them to pass. And below me, the said shoppers were a family of close neighbours and family friends from whom I have known all my life. I mentioned Anne was always up for adventure and daredevil doings. She took this to another level by announcing one day that she had decided we would book a trip in a hot air balloon. I will admit at first I was speechless, for as you might have clocked by now, Anne could not wait there at all and was completely operating her life from a wheelchair. She was not going to let such a small detail stop her, and she found a hot air balloon company who were happy to accommodate her plan. So it was the next day we had an early start, setting off at about 5 a.m. to drive to the balloon launch pad. We watched in wonder and anticipation as the pilot inflated the balloon until it towered above us, yet still anchored to the ground by ropes. It was around sunrise when Anne was carefully lifted into the 6-person basket and perched on a narrow wooden ledge which fitted around the inside of the basket. I and 2 other guests climbed in, and the balloon pilot went through the final safety instructions and checks. The roar of the burners drowned out conversation, and as soon as the anchor ropes were released, we began a breathtaking liftoff. The novel sensation of gentle, effortless climbing into the cool morning air delighted us all. Climbing and climbing, up and up, with the intermittent roar of the burners punctuating the increasing moments of awe, stillness, and calm as the air currents carried us along. High above the open spaces we floated, looking down over the woodlands and lakes of the lush landscape below. It was an unforgettable sight and experience, made all more wonderful as Anne chattered excitedly throughout, charming the pilot with her squeals of awe and pleasure. After a flight of about 45 minutes, we finally touched down and were taken for a champagne breakfast to celebrate and round off the adventure. It was about 7 a.m. when we made our way back to the hustle and bustle of the holiday parks. Epcot beckoned, and we spent the whole day jumping on and off experiences, always moving to the open entry reserved for people with disabilities, wheeling past the queues of 50 or 100 able-bodied holiday makers patiently waiting their turn. That particular day was a lesson for me. I discovered quite a difficult state, an experience which in the modern day parlance would be called hangry. We had eaten breakfast at about 6:30 a.m. and it was now 5 p.m. and we hadn't stopped or eaten anything all day. It was the only moment of the whole 2 weeks when I would say I was feeling decidedly grumpy, irritable for the lack of food. I finally found my tongue and spoke up and said I was starving and was happily soon supplied with much needed food. Our holiday of a lifetime lives on in my memory, and I'm happy to say that we enjoyed a couple more adventures together, though these were closer to home in Donegal on the west coast of Ireland, and another trip to the Ring of Kerry. So the years rolled on and I came to live in England, though whenever I was home, I'd make a point of going to see Anne. The last time I saw her was Christmas 2015. Her degenerative condition was taking its toll, but her heart and her spirit were undimmed. Just recently, I wondered about her and Googled her name, with curiosity mixed with a hope that I would not find what I did. Anne died just over a year ago. I guess it comes with being away from home that news doesn't travel so well. But reflecting on her life and our adventures, I'm reminded and comforted that she has now reached her dream, and I am sure that she is running, skipping, and dancing her way around heaven. Thank you.
Carolyn,
Yes,
can I ask, where are you at the minute?
I'm in Northamptonshire, Wellington.
Right, right. Have you any funny stories about Podrick from his Greenbelt days when he used to wear flowery jeans?